what I would not do, and Mr. Pohan indicated in December meeting, is that in talking about the parking meters, he indicated that the parking meter fee was not really a significant amount. After all, in Fort Lee, we have fees for ambulance billing services, building permits, tree removal permits, tree erection fees, pet licensing, fingerprinting, garage sales, and a myriad of other user fees. The first thing I would do is take a look at the fees and see what I could do about eliminating them and make it a little bit more prosperous for the town to do business. In terms of specifically recommending a project, I support Senators Doherty and Cardinale in their fair funding approach to our schools. We currently get about $1.5 million in money back from Trenton based on our school budget. On a fair funding approach, which is being led by the Republicans in the Senate, which really should be a bipartisan, Fort Lee has an opportunity to obtain an additional $22 million in state aid from Trenton. This is recognizing that our current budget, the current amount of money that we spend in Fort Lee to fund our schools is $46 million. I submit that's a significant amount and a significant decrease in our tax burden. Thank you.
Lastly, Congressman Sargenti.
Councilman. No chief, just an Indian.
That's the next debate.
I like being an Indian. Well, there could be a plus or a minus to the person going last in this whole debate. But you know, we sit up here. The question you have to ask yourself is: 4 years ago, 3 years ago, are you better off than you were before? And if you look around town and we take a look and see all the things that are going on for the seniors, for the community, for the children, yes, we are. As Mayor Mark said, we've increased everything for everybody in town. All right, we've instituted programs for them. They're utilizing those programs. I mean, really think about it. We're talking about $5 parking fee for the parking authority. You know, and that's for 4 years. Then you take a look at a town like Guttenberg, it's $10 a year. Take a look at Hoboken, $30 for the first car, $60 for the second, $90 for the third per year. Jersey City's $15 per year. This is the best one, Montclair, $240 for 6 months, but $300 for 6 months if you live in a different area. All right, they got that. Hackensack is $5, the town of Hackensack. Newark, $15. And they're increasing to $25 per year. North Bergen is $15 for 3 years. West York, $25 per year. Okay. Powell Park is looking, and Powell Park now is looking to put a program together. And East Orange is $150 per year. So for $5 for 4 years, and we're talking about a parking permit, and then we're talking about businesses and storefronts. That's something where we need to get with the business owners and come to a conclusion of what we're going to do. Because that actually comes from the rentals from them. And the foot traffic is there. We have plenty of parking behind the stores to be able to park it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, and next in the program, we're going to move on to the questions from the United Homeowners Associations. There were questions submitted to the United Homeowners, and Dr. Levinson selected the questions. None of the candidates have seen these questions. I saw them tonight. I will distribute them first, and then I'll read them out. I'll read one at a time out loud.
Really only same question?
There is no special order to respond to the question, so each candidate can respond. Okay, question number 1. Officers and members of the United Homeowners Group were pleased that our current municipal budget reflected an increase of less than 1%. What plans/ideas do each of you have to further reduce municipal taxes without affecting town services or increasing our fees. Who would like to start?
I'll put my neck in the noose. Well, one thing we've already done, which is not reflected in this year's budget, but will be reflected in next year's budget, is the refunding program on the bonds. We refunded $15 million of bonds. Because of the low interest rates, we should save about 1.5% on that $15 million. So that's about $200,000 a year that we're going to save just in interest payments alone, and that will be reflected in future year budgets. It's not in the current year budget. We have also this year enacted a program for self-insurance with our prescription plan. We expect that there's going to be significant savings in that program. They are not yet reflected in this year's budget because it was only implemented about halfway through this year. So we will see those savings in next year's budget as well. We also have an ongoing litigation which we're pursuing against the Bergen County sewer system, which has very unfairly increased the share that the residents pay for sewer utilization. Cliffside Park and one other town, Richfield, I think, because we have old storm sewer, sanitary sewers combined, we are paying a rate as if all of our sewage was sanitary sewage, and in fact a great deal of our sewage is storm sewage, which doesn't require the kind of treatment that sanitary does. We used to get a special rate because of that. They eliminated the rate about 2 years ago, and we are still pursuing a claim to reduce that rate.
Thank you. Who's next? Excuse me if I didn't say it before. You have up to 2 minutes.
I can respond.
There's no order. Anybody that would like to?
I'll take it. Well, first and foremost, in order to manage the budget, we need to show a lot more leadership than is currently being shown by this administration. What passes for reporting from department heads is the liaison on the council gives a sentence or two at the meeting. To actively manage the personnel and projects, we need meaningful reports, and first and foremost, I would push for government accounting standards board approach to the budget. It's known as GASB, and back when Governor Whitman was in office, she strongly suggested all municipalities adopt this kind of accounting so that you can tell municipality to municipality, compare apples to apples. Who's doing a good job? Are you managing your costs, your personnel effectively? You know, in the age of shared services, our potential municipal partners are going to want to know that we're managing our book of business correctly before they agree to go on with us. In order to do this, we need meaningful accounting records, and they are sorely missing here.
I presume that in anticipation of at least this year's election, we hear specifics. I get ideas. I've always said I'm open-minded. I can also tell you that many of the programs we put into place have been come from the citizens that I've spoken to. I mean, we had a series of town hall meetings to vet and to deal with the selection process for the redeveloper at Redevelopment 5. That idea came from somebody at the senior center one day. And I'm open-minded, but I still have not heard specifics, and there's a reason for it. The reason for it is that this budget is thin and this budget is tight. Is there more room? Absolutely, and we're going to continue to do so. But the question is, how do we continue to save money? We do by continuing to implement and empower our on-site, in-town projects team. We have a projects team that's been put into place about 4 years ago that's constructed for our community things such as Little League fields, capital improvement projects. They just recently dredged the North Woods, which cured a flooding problem that those people experienced for 25 years. We've also instituted an in-house engineering program so that every time we need to go out and do something, we don't have to hire outside contractors. We've saved hundreds of thousands of dollars as a result of that program. And the other capital improvement projects that we've done, because our guys are doing it in-house, it's saving you a ton of money, and it's stuff that has to be done. Our programs of attrition will remain in place. This time next year, it might be 15, might be 20, might be 25%. I don't know. But remember this, whatever efforts we put forth, whatever cost-saving measures we implement, your health, safety, and welfare will not be compromised. Not on our watch. And the approach here tonight is doomsday. And look at what they've done to you, and look at the condition that the borough's in. I don't think this borough's been in a stronger condition in the last 30 or 40 years. And I will also conclude with, as far as cost saving, collective bargaining. Collective bargaining. We'll continue to vigorously and zealously negotiate those contracts. And if the union doesn't cooperate, we're in arbitration like we are now. Talk of leadership. If we didn't have leadership right now, we would have settled at numbers which would have not have been in your best interests.
Okay, I don't want to dwell on the aspect of cost savings specifically in the budget. I do tend to agree with Mark that it is pretty lean and mean. I will take exception with a statement that he made, or not really an exception. He indicated that there are people looking at this. And I have to heavily concur. In looking at Fort Lee, it appears that Fort Lee has more departments than Macy's. So at some point in time, when you look at a salary base of over $28 million on a total appropriation of $68 million, you've got to look at staffing. I tend to look at a bigger picture, and in terms of saving money and being development for the town is not going to develop. It's not going to develop well without some money in our pockets. The way to save money, the way that I'm looking at it, the way that fellow Republicans are looking at it in New Jersey, is the fair school funding plan. What we're saying is that we want to have an equitable distribution. And equitable means that people that pay more will pay more into it. But we don't want to get 1/15 of the return from Trenton that a town like Asbury Park is getting in terms of school funding. So if you look at a $46 million expenditure for school funding, and you want to reduce it by roughly $2,000 per household, recognizing that the average tax in Fort Lee per homeowner is $8,000, you're looking at a 25% decrease in property tax. That puts money in people's pockets. That makes people happy. That makes people want to spend. That makes businesses want to come here.
Thank you. Shared services. Everybody knows what that is? Shared services? Why is it that everybody wants to come to us, the town of Fort Lee? Why do outside towns want to come to us? We have the best to offer, best decision making, and people see what we've done in this town with less now than we've ever had. We're in negotiations with a few towns right now, talking to them, all right, about shared services, which once again lessens the cost. Board of Education. We use shared services with them, sharing our gas with them, all right, they save money overall. All right, parking their vehicles on town property, not on their own property. We utilize that time. We utilize everything they could possibly get. We utilize everything we can in Board of Ed. But once again, we're not running for the Board of Ed up here. Everybody's talking about the school. Let me explain this to you. We're not up here for the Board of Ed as of right now. I am not running for the Board of Ed. Charlie, you're back there. I'm not running for the Board of Ed. I'm running for the town council. And my partners up here are running also. And to be honest with you, if you look through the budget, it's tight. I mean, we're running in departments now with less than, or where we had full-timers, we brought in part-timers. So, I mean, we're really not shaking the service for the customer, for the town, for the people to come in. When they have to go to the building department, there's not an hour wait, there's not a 20-minute wait, it's a quick turnaround. So they can get out there and do what they're supposed to do, the builders, or the homeowners. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I will be just...
That's okay. Right. First, wish it was only true that it was less than 1%, but as I explained in my opening statement, there's so much bonding going on that, and whatever that 1.8 million for the absence liability, that it's really much more than 1%. But that's how money is hidden, and you're paying interest, but someday you're going to have to pay the piper. So, unfortunately, that's not true. In terms of that, I would like to see no more bonding. So I would look to look at that and why we need to bond. Why do we need to bond for computers? Why do we need to bond for a heating system? Why do we need to bond for a computer? Going back to the computer, something that costs maybe $1,000, and we're bonding for it, and we're paying interest on it. Just, I don't even understand that. And there's a lot of things like that. People really should look at this. I know they don't post it on the website. You have to go to Borough Hall, and Borough Hall's only open 8 to 4, I believe, or 4:30. But you really should look at these things because they do, like the Port Authority, who decided to do their meeting for one day to discuss this horrific increase. They also, unfortunately, our council also does bonding during the summer when everybody's away. So we just had almost a $2 million bond that just passed, all right, an ordinance. And the same thing, I guess it really upset you about us fighting the parking fee, parking sticker fee. But again, it was a fee that was put on, and maybe $5 today, who knows. They told us that they had to have the meeting December 23rd, 10 o'clock in the morning. That was the only time they could have this meeting. When half of Fort Lee was out of town, the kids were away, or almost away, I think it was a half a day, and they could only have the meeting then because they had to get these stickers ready. Well, amazingly, the stickers, then they pushed it so you could use your 2010 sticker till July. So I think that's an issue. Just one thing, because my time is here, just one thing I'll point out. The legal line went from 684,000 to 800,000, and they couldn't explain why.
I will be distributing question number 2 this time from this side. Question number 2. New constructions are being planned in town. These will strain our municipal services and already overcrowded schools. A, what would you do to reduce the strain by keeping development to a minimum? B, what financial assistance other than taxes would you expect from the developers to cover the extra expenses for all municipal services, such as sewers, police, DPW, etc., and especially for schools?
May I?
Anybody can start.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
You know, and just first and foremost, much of the bonding that people are referring to is what's known as refunding bonding. Refunding is the equivalent of refinancing your home. You're a homeowner. You have a mortgage. If you have a mortgage for $200,000 and you're paying 6%, and if the interest rate goes down to 3%, you refinance your loan. That's what we've been doing with the existing debt, saving you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, of course, we run the risk of folks that don't understand what a refinancing bond is, take the position that it's new money. It's not new money, and it's irresponsible to suggest that it is. As far as what developers can do for assisting with the schools, that raises a very important point. When we prepared the documents describing what we wanted out of the developer for redevelopment 5, there were 2 issues that we would not deviate from. Issue number 1 was telling the developers we would not provide them with a tax subsidy. Issue number 2 was telling them that we would not enter into what's known as a pilot program, or a payment in lieu of taxes. Because if we did either, it would then cheat the school system. As a result of sticking to our guns, remember, we did not name the Tucker developer initially because they wanted you to issue bonds, so that if their project failed, it was on your watch and coming out of your pocket. We refused him. He was denied. Litigation ensued. It resolved. But it resolved without you paying 1 cent of subsidy. What does that mean? That means that the projected $10 to $15 million in tax revenue from this project, approximately 50% of it is going to go to the school district. If we didn't do what we did, it would. And right now, the total tax bill is hovering at around $1.5 million, which is paid current. Half of it approximately goes to the school district. We've limited the number of bedrooms in the development, and we put in other safeguards to make sure that it's not going to be an absolute strain. But there are millions of dollars that are going to be generated, all because we've agreed not to subsidize the developer.
Who would like to go next?
Getting to the point of roads and infrastructure and how we handle the traffic in Fort Lee. Well, yes, there's a tremendous amount of traffic in Fort Lee, but we do also have some pretty new roads. Redevelopment Area 5 has new roads, heavily underutilized. In terms of what Mark is saying about the amount of money that is relevant to refunding bonds, I never indicated at all that this is a new bond project. It is a refunding, it's exactly as Mark indicated. What he hasn't indicated is this: when you refund the bond, are you extending the maturity date? Does it remain a callable issue? What's the interest rate? Indications like that is, we should know. We should know that the bond is being refunded, what the extension of that bond is going to. At some point in time, as Martha indicated, we're going to have to pay for computers, we're going to have to pay salaries of people that leave, we're going to have to pay for other fairly ordinary expenses out of our budget and not put them off.
Thank you. Who's next?
Well, at the present time, the major development that is taking place is the Whitehall Tower project, which is basically going to result in very, very low burden on the services. The level of the number of bedrooms in these apartments is designed really more for an older community. I think will put a minimum burden on the services of the town. We cannot, beyond the improving of pump stations as pertains to the flow of property, we cannot ask a developer to pay for specific policemen or specific DPW. What we can ask to do is to pay their fair share of taxes. And with respect to the redevelopment Area 5, we have insisted that whoever builds is going to pay their fair share of taxes. They're not going to get a pilot program. They're not going to get any breaks. They will pay the freight. And if they pay the freight, I believe that there's going to be a net savings to the borough. The new project as it's being designed has many more smaller units. We are requiring a minimum of 37% of one-bedroom apartments, and I think a maximum of 10% of three-bedroom apartments. The old development, the Centurion, had many, many, many more three-bedroom apartments, and we could have expected that to throw many more people into the school system. But this is going to, the way this project is being designed now, it's going to be a very big rateable. And that's the other way we'll save taxes for the rest of the town, is by creating good ratables.
First, I want to get something out of the way. If anybody wants to look, this is just one example. This is the bond from the summer of 2010. I know there's a lot of refunding, Mark, but this is not a refunded bond. This is all new stuff. Everybody can feel free to look at it. Also, the one that just passed was not a refunding bond, which was also like $2 million. Okay, on to the question. So what would you do to reduce the strain by keeping development to a minimum? I think it'd be nice if the board, if the council makes the point of going to the planning and zoning board, not just really the liaisons, but really go. I mean, I have taken a particular interest in the zoning board, and boy, it is an education about all these huge houses, these variances that are asked for huge houses, which from going door to door,
Fortunately, I don't think they're going to be one family that's just living in them. And also the multiplex houses, and even there was an apartment house that, because of questioning, the board put aside. So it really can make a difference, and it'd be nice to see different council members going, and I know that I'll keep going if I get elected. The other thing is that I know that the master plan is being looked at again, and I think that's a really good idea, and I would suggest, if we're able to do it, that we have a moratorium on any building of where you have a single-family home into dual-family home or other apartment houses. I just found out there's another apartment house that's being built near where the Centuria is. I had no idea. The other thing is that, at least my understanding, I could be an error, but they may be less apartments in the Centuria, but I thought that it was taller. But bottom line is that there are a lot of things that we can do so that we don't have to get to the point about the financial assistance until we get our house in order.
Before we go on, this is being televised, and we need to change the tape for 1 minute. It shouldn't take more than a minute. Okay, we're ready to resume. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, you too?
Okay, we have 2 more candidates left for this question. Sargenti, would you like to?
Hi, Congressman. Congressman? That's me. Go ahead, Mike. All right. Just a few things that we've looked. We projected now now with the ambulance co-pay, we're looking for about $1 million plus on that to bring into us. We're also we've negotiated it to the point where snow removal now will be in our control. We will not be hiring from outside. So streets like Anderson Avenue is under our control now. See, before, a lot of these stayed from the outside sources, so we'll be able to take care of that. Still maintain on the hiring freeze. I mean, there's a lot that we're still doing, but as long as we stay firm and stay the course, we'll be fine on that. That's it.
Thank you.
You're right.
I agree that not making a deal with the developer was a very good move. To give away that kind of rateable would have been suicide, because the impact that these